Nick, that was quite a combative speech we just heard from Vladimir Putin. Pretty strong messages there for Western countries.
It's classic Putin. It looks very strong on the surface. It seems combative, as you've just said. And actually, it's all projection. It's a house of cards, to tell the truth. He's blaming everything on the West. This is absolutely typical. He starts by talking about one of his favorite subjects, the end of the unipolar world, saying that the US and the West announced victory in the Cold War, but now they're suffering from their arrogance, from trying to call the shots for the last 30 years. He talks about the EU losing its sovereignty and about how Russia attacked Ukraine to protect its sovereignty. Now, it's very interesting that he didn't actually say the special military operation, which is the term the Kremlin uses. It's in Russia, you're not allowed to say it's a war. He said that had been launched in the Donbass to protect the Donbass. So not talking about Ukraine anymore, no mention of Nazis, talking about the heroes of the Russian army and those from the Donbass, from the so-called People's Republics of Donetsk and Luhansk, who are protecting Russian values, Russian history, Russian sovereignty. Now, it's all as if those areas of Ukraine where the Russian army and mercenaries fighting for the Russian army, that's as if those areas of Ukraine aren't even Ukrainian. They're part of Russia. So it's part of this old trope that he's been running for a long time. Now, there were some other interesting details here. I mean, he was talking about Russian inflation being 16.7%, and Europe's been 20%, even higher than that, and they're not involved in a special military operation. I had a quick look. The latest figures I could find was that the European inflation figures this year for the EU are projected to be 8%. So where he pulls this 20% out of the air, I don't know. He goes on at some point to talk about easing legal requirements for businesses in Russia who can't meet requirements of Western businesses because of the sanctions, suggesting that they have to do what they can. That looks like a green light for piracy, for getting around licenses, for basically going completely rogue. Also lifting restrictions on business, doing away with cases of economic crimes in Russia. This, we have to remember, was to a business audience. They were very pleased about this, lots of applause. But basically, as ever, banging on about this is all the West's fault, and not even referring to some of the figures released earlier in the day. The chairman of Sberbank, German Gref, who's a former minister of economics in Russia, was talking about the Russian economy taking 10 years to get back to figures that it achieved last year. So 10 years, 2031, before it can return to anything like the position it's been. Negative growth coming up for years to come. The head of the central bank also saying that the Russian economy is in deep trouble and that the sanctions haven't really yet begun to bite. Now, Putin made some concessions to the fact that Russian businesses can't get the spare parts. They're going to have to start making those things themselves, and that could take a while. Well, it could take a very long while. This is typical Putin. It's aimed at an audience. I mean, he referred to there being more friends of Russia than unfriendly nations out there. That may be true. It may be that it's only Europe and the US who are so against what Russia's doing. There's evidence that in Asia and Africa, some of those countries aren't quite so opposed to the Russian war in Ukraine. At the same time, this is a lot of puff. It's Putin looking big. It's the Wizard of Oz. It's the figure behind the curtain. It is classic Putin, but it's a pretty thin tissue, really.
Nick Holdsworth, thank you so much.